What's up, everybody? We're here for part 2 of How to Make the Beat from the song Paper Planes by M.I.A. We're here on the kitchen table because it is, of course, the kitchen table series. And I'm doing kind of a bad sound man thing. I'm recording this while my furnace is blasting hot air into the space because it's kind of cold today. So there's this kind of going on in the background that I'll probably try and get rid of in post-production, as they say, which is always a bad idea. All right, so I am holding, as we see, a guitar, as it is formerly known, because we're going to do the guitar part. And, you know, to be honest, I don't actually even know if this part is a guitar or some kind of keyboard thing. It's a little hard to tell, actually, but we're going to kind of model it as a guitar. And let's give a quick listen so that we can, before we give a quick listen, I have to use my wiretap device. And that would be right here. Remember, wiretap is the device that I use so I can record the output of Pro Tools and bring it into the video so you can actually hear what's happening as well as see what's happening. Okay, close this puppy. You, go away. And we'll start recording here. Okay, let's give a listen to the intro to the beat for Paper Planes by M.I.A. Here we go. Here we go for real, honest. Now you might remember, this was The Clash, Straight to Hell. And here it turns around. Okay, so there's actually 3 things going on here besides the kick drum that comes in the second half. So 4 things, I guess, really. There's the guitar, which is playing 3 chords. It's playing D, C, and G. And again, how can you do this? Well, you either have to go online and just try and find the chords, or you can sit down with a guitar or a piano or something and try and do it by ear. That's what I did in this case, and the 3 chords being used are D, C, G. So it's sounding something like... So those are the 3 chords that I got to get. Now, in addition, there's some kind of high, kind of circusy sounding organ going beep, boom, in the background, and a bass guitar. All right, so we're going to try and get those 3 tracks. Our guitar, our circus organ, and our bass guitar. All right, let's do this. Now, first thing we got to do, open up an instrument track. In fact, we know we're going to make 3 parts, so let's open up 3 instrument tracks. The one is the number of tracks is highlighted right from the start, so I can just type 3, and I'm going to make them stereo instrument tracks, and hit turn for create. Boom, there they are. Let's name them now so we don't forget. Here's my guitar. Next, we have the organ. And you can also click next on this dialog box to go to the next track. And the last one I can call bass. And we have our track set up. Now we can also put an expand on each one of these. So I'm going to go to multi-channel plugin, instrument, expand to. And it pops up in a second. Come on, Pro Tools. Oh yeah, right now. Ooh, look at that. I got the touch. Okay. Spinning wheel. Come on, spinning wheel. Don't do me like this. You're going to just resolve. There you go. Figured it out. Okay. Spinning wheel, incidentally, most of the time it is a good idea to let it go, even if it's for 2, 3, 5 minutes, right? If it's still spinning after 5 minutes, probably you're dead in the water. Okay, now let me show you a quick trick. I'm going to need expands on these other tracks too. So let's do the option drag. Remember, option drag, if we're doing it with audio, makes a copy of a piece of audio. So for example, I could option drag this hunk right here and make a copy of it. I can do the same thing with a plugin like expand. I'm going to option drag this expand to down to the organ, and I get a copy there after it spins and thinks for entirely too long. And then I can do it again, option drag, and now I have an expand on all 3 of my tracks, the guitar, the organ, the bass. Ote, ote. let's figure out what we're going to use for the guitar. Now, like I said, guitar, not such an easy thing to reproduce, to mimic inside of an electronic environment, a computer-based environment. But in this case, actually, it's a little easier to pull off than in some of the others. So we're gonna, I'm clicking on the actual slot that the instrument is in right now, which is the default instrument that comes on it, Beneath the Waves. I'm gonna click there, get my list, go to Guitars, and select Guitars. Select the 56 Strat. Incidentally, a Strat, short for Stratocaster, 56 meaning the year, so this is like an old style Strat guitar, nice clean sound. I love the sound of a Strat in the morning. Sounds like victory. That's a movie reference. Anyone gets it, you get half point of extra credit. Okay, so we have our Strat. We can come back and change the sound later, but we're just going to go with the default thing right here. I am going to open up with Control equals, my MIDI editor window. I have my gray dot here next to guitar, no other gray dots, so I know I'm ready to start entering notes on the guitar. I'm going to go to the beginning of the song by hitting return. And so, first chord I got to make is D, meaning D major. Okay, so first thing I do, I locate the starting note, which is going to be the D. All right, so there's D. And now to get D major, I need the first, the third, and the fifth notes of the D major scale. The D major scale, the first 5 notes of it, can be produced by going up according to whole step, half step, whole step. 2 wholes and a half and a whole. Here we go. Whole step, half step, whole step. Now I know this sounds super like this little tinny sound. Don't worry, we're going to make it sound better. All right, now I get rid of the second note, get rid of the fourth note. Booyah, there we go. D major. All right, now what's the rhythm here? In other words, how often are these chords happening? What's the guitar strum? Let's listen for a second. Okay, now if we're counting along with our head bob, which is going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, you can hear that those guitar strums are on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Let's listen. And 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, that was a very lame air guitar right there, but you get the idea. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So what does that mean? If it's playing on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, that's a total of 8 notes through the bar, 8 strums per bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? That means I want my grid to be in 8th notes. So I'm going to click on 8th notes, and now I can make a copy of that by doing Option drag. Then I can, now I'm lazy, right? So I like to just kind of keep copying this stuff and pasting. So now I select those 2, hold down Option, drag to get a copy of all that. Now I select those 4, you get the idea here, right? I just keep doubling everything. Okay, now how many of these are there? Oop, my bad also, forgive me. I'm putting them on quarter notes. I need to put them in between also. So, in other words, I need them on every one of these 8th notes all the way across. I have them now just on every other 8th note. So check it out. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab these puppies, and I'm going to pull them to every other 8th note. Now I've got what I'm looking for, right? Okay. Again, sounds pretty like, I know. We'll make it sound better. So I'm going to select them all. I'm going to duplicate it. And now what we have to listen to is, or for, is when that chord changes, when it goes down from D to C. How many 8th notes do we play until it changes? Let's listen. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... You know what? Let me solo this so that I don't... mute this so you don't have to listen to the guitar at the same time. One more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So the chord is actually changing. Listen for it. The second bar on 3 and 4 and. In other words, 3 and is when it changes from a D to a C. Listen one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? So that means that we have to take these last three, because here is the and of 3, right? Here's the third beat. Let's zoom up here so you know what I'm talking about. We're in the second bar, right? The third beat, that's where it's happening. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Those last three. So I'm going to the third beat. Here is the and of the third beat, right? The second eighth note in that beat. And I'm going to take all three of those, and I need to move it from D to C. Well, we're a C, that's just one whole step down. So, booyah, right there, okay? Let me zoom out here. And let's make sure that that's sounding more or less right. Again, expect a chintzy little sound. You know what? Just to make this sound a little bit less annoying, I'm going to drop my velocity slightly. I selected everything. I'm just going to pull that down a little bit. Okay. Uh-oh. You go away. Here we go. One more time. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... Let's hear it all together. And 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and... Okay, so that's at the right place. Now, next chord, we got to go to G major, right? So G major, I know, is going to be this same chord shape, because remember, once you get one major chord, all the other major chords look the same. They just start at a different note. So I'm going to pick all those guys, hold down Option. I'm going to drag them over here to the next bar. Oops, let me do that again. Option, drag. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to move these to G, because this is where it goes to the third chord, G. So I drag these notes down to G. G is going to be this note right here, in between the first and second of these three black notes. So I'm going to grab them, pull them down, right? And then I have this last little distance to cover over here. I need, what, 1, 2, 3 more of these. Let's grab those, hold down Option, and pull them in, and then I have a full 2 bars of nothing but G. Okay? So 2 bars of C, and then right at the end of that second bar it does, 2 bars of D, the end of the second bar goes to C, and then finally to G. Okay, so here's what it sounds like. Okay, so it is the right notes, but it doesn't sound really exactly like what's being played. A couple reasons. It has to do that inversion again. So we're going to make another inversion here. In this case, in order to more closely mimic what they're playing, we're going to make an inversion by grabbing this top note and pulling it down 1 octave. So right now it's on A. So I'm going to pull it down to the next A, right in between the second and third black notes. So I'm going to pull it down to the next A down. I'm going to do the same thing in the next chord. I'm going to take the top note and I'm going to pull it down 1 octave. And then these I'm going to leave alone. Now why? Well, remember our basic idea that inversions are a good way to keep the notes from not moving too much, so that we have kind of the narrowest possible sort of band across the notes, and that usually sounds better. Let's listen. That sounds more like what he's playing. Cool. Okay. Now, let's do a little bit of sound sweetening here. Let's try and make this sound a little bit more guitar-like. All right? Here's what we're going to do to accomplish that. First of all, we're going to put an effect on here. We're going to put 3 effects on this thing. And they're the kind of effects that get used a lot on guitar. We're going to put an amp effect to simulate like some overdrive, a little bit of crunch. We're going to put a reverb to make it sound kind of cave-like, and a delay to make it sound a little echo-like, right? Which I know that sounds similar, echo and cave, but it's a slightly different thing. You'll see in a second. All right, here we go. Let's put the the distortion on there. So we're going to select, we're going to go down to, where is it, modulation, no, harmonics. So we're at multi-channel plugin, harmonics, sans amp. Sans, incidentally, is French for without. So it's like without an amp. What do you do when you are without an amp? You use this handy plugin, sans amp. Okay, so what did that do to it? Let's solo it. I'll bypass it so you can hear the effect. This is without it. Now, whoops, let's go back. This is without it, with. Okay, let's up the distortion a little bit. Let's get a little more. We're going to get some more buzz here, so I'm going to turn up buzz. And I can hear you guys snickering, by the way, right now. And then we are going to put up the drive a little bit as well. This is just going to give a little bit more kind of dirt, kind of gristle to the sound, if you will. That's getting pretty good. A little more buzz. Then I'm going to turn down the level a little bit because it's a little loud now. Cool. So that gave it a little bit kind of a dirty amplifier sort of sound. Next thing we're going to do is put some reverb on there. And so we have multi-channel plugin, reverb, deverb. You know, I can actually hear some of my old audio instructors rolling over in their graves right now, except that they're not dead. But what I mean by that is this is not normally the way that we would use reverb. We'd use something called an auxiliary track. But you know what? That's going to be a little bit down the road. So, you know, we'll get there eventually. But this is an easier way to do it. Not necessarily the most efficient, but easier. Okay, so we're going to up the input. First of all, let me zoom in here as you can see these settings. We're going to up our input to 0 dB. We're going to bring our mix to about 40%. And remember, that means it's going to be about 40% echo, 60% dry sound. I'm going to reduce my decay to something more like about 3 seconds. This is how long it takes for the echo to kind of fade, for the cave-like sound to fade. Okay, let's see what that sounds like. Cool, I'm liking it, okay? All right, let's put the delay on there. That's going to get that like, da, you know, hello, out there, can and you hear me. Multi-channel plugin, delay. We're going to go for a long delay, stereo. Long delay to stereo, because we have a stereo track. All right, left side right here, right side. Left channel, right channel. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is change the mix to, again, about 40%. Or actually, let's make it about 35. We'll start there and see what that feels like. Better zoom out a little bit more here. So I'm going to set both settings on both sides exactly the same. So about 35%. I'm going to take our feedback and set that to about, let's do about 25%. And again, the feedback is really how long that, like, hello, is going to last. And then finally down here at meter, we can control how often those echoes are going to happen. Wow, I don't know what happened to my brain right there. This controls how fast the echoes happen, whether they happen like da 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 da, or like All right. So we get to actually have it happen in time with the music if we pick these guys. So I'm going to pick an 8th note for each one of these, and let's see what that sounds like. Let's try. I like that better. Okay. So we're going to go with 16th notes on that. But I'm going to pull down my feedback and my mix on each one. So I'm going to make it about 25. Okay, so I'm not sure why these CPU loads are happening so much. That's a pain. But so in the end, I've picked about 8% for my feedback, 16th notes for the tempo of my delay, the meter of my delay, and about 25% for the mix. Okay, and that pretty much does it for our guitar part. Let's hear it with the song. I'll let it come all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's sounding pretty authentic. I like it. Okay, so next part we're going to do our circus organ and our bass line, and then we'll move on to the verse of the song. All right, take it on to part 3. See you later.